Welcome to the channel where we dive deep into the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and valuable collectibles that can change lives forever. And today we are going to talk about one of the most legendary coins in numismatic history, the 1916 silver Mercury dime, a coin that has captivated collectors and historians for more than a century. And what makes it truly fascinating is that in certain rare cases, due to specific minting errors and mistakes, one of these dimes can be valued as high as $3 million, which is an incredible figure when you think about its original face value of just 10 cents. So buckle up as we explore every detail, every possibility, and every mystery that surrounds this coin and makes it worth such extraordinary sums. Because in the coin collecting world, the smallest imperfection can transform a simple coin into a piece of history worth millions. And that is exactly the case with the 1916 Mercury dime, which holds a special place in the hearts of collectors worldwide for both its design and its errors. Starting with the design itself, it was created by Adolf A. Weinman, and the obverse features the bust of Lady Liberty wearing a winged cap, symbolizing freedom of thought. But many people often confuse the design with the Roman god Mercury, which is how the coin earned its famous nickname, the Mercury dime, and the reverse features fasces, a bundle of rods tied around an axe, symbolizing unity and strength, along with an olive branch to represent peace, making it a deeply symbolic coin that carried both beauty and meaning. Yet beyond its symbolic value lies the realm of minting mishaps and striking variations that elevate its worth into the millions. And when we talk about the 1916 dime, we have to highlight the three mints involved in its production: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But the most legendary among them is the 1916 D Mercury dime from Denver, as the Denver Mint struck only 264,000 pieces, making it one of the lowest mintage numbers in the entire Mercury dime series, and this rarity alone has made it a collector's dream. But when you add minting errors, misstrikes, and unusual die varieties, the value soars beyond imagination, because in coin collecting rarity is always paired with demand, and the more unique and scarce a piece is, the higher its worth climbs. And that is why a 1916 Mercury dime with extraordinary errors can reach as much as $3 million in value. So what kind of errors could possibly exist on such a coin, and how do they happen? Mint errors can take many forms, from off-center strikes, where the design is not properly aligned with the blank planchet, to double die errors, where the coin shows a doubling effect on the letters, numbers, or designs, giving it a distinctive and highly collectible appearance. And then there are die cracks, die breaks, or cuds, which occur when the die used to strike the coin becomes damaged, leaving unusual raised marks or missing details on the coin's surface. And these kinds of defects, though accidental, are what collectors prize the most, because they create uniqueness that no other coin can replicate. And when you combine those factors with the historical significance of the 1916 issue, you get a coin that is not only rare but also irreplaceable. But beyond the common errors, there are even more legendary possibilities, such as transitional errors, where a coin might have been struck using a planchet from another year or composition, or misstruck with a wrong die intended for a different coin. And these kinds of freak accidents are what elevate a coin's value into stratospheric levels, because they are so uncommon and yet so highly desirable. And when one such 1916 Mercury dime appears at auction, collectors are willing to spend millions to own a piece of history unlike any other. But let us dive deeper into why this coin matters so much. Because the year 1916 itself was a transitional time in U.S. coinage, as the Barber dime design, which had been in circulation since 1892, was being replaced with the new Mercury design, and transitional years often produce unusual coins due to the overlap in dies, planchets, and minting processes. So the chance of errors in 1916 was higher than usual, and that is part of the reason why certain rare pieces have survived with incredible mistakes. And when you add the fact that coin collecting as a hobby was beginning to grow in popularity in the early 20th century, the significance of the Mercury dime becomes even greater. Now imagine a collector today discovering a 1916 Mercury dime in their collection or even in loose change, which has happened before with other coins, and realizing that their little silver dime, worth 10 cents at face value, could actually be a multi-million-dollar treasure because of the errors it carries. That is the kind of story that fuels the excitement and passion of coin collecting, and it is why people spend years searching, studying, and preserving these coins, hoping to stumble upon one of these once-in-a-lifetime rarities. Now let's examine the specific types of errors on the 1916 dime that could make it worth as much as $3 million. One of the most talked about is the double die obverse error, where the year 1916, the letters Liberty, or the motto I in God We Trust appear doubled due to misalignment during the minting process, and such doubling is easily noticeable under magnification, making the coins stand out instantly to trained collectors. Another valuable error is the off-center strike, where the coin's design appears shifted significantly to one side, leaving part of the coin blank and part of it fully struck, and depending on how much of the design is missing, these can fetch huge premiums, especially when the date remains intact. Because the date is the key factor in identifying the coin. Then there are planchet errors, where the metal blank used to strike the coin may have been improperly prepared, leaving it with clipped edges, lamination flaws, or even struck on the wrong metal planchet altogether. And coins struck on wrong planchets are among the most prized errors because they reveal direct evidence of minting accidents. For example, a dime struck on a cent planchet or a foreign coin blank would instantly be considered a one-of-a-kind rarity worth astronomical sums. Now add to this the rarity of the Denver Mint mark in 1916, and you begin to see why the values skyrocket. Because with such a small mintage, any error is amplified in rarity and desirability, and beyond these technical mistakes, even small variations in the strike quality, the sharpness of the details, or the condition of the coin can dramatically affect its value, as coins in uncirculated or mint state condition are always more valuable than those that show wear. And when you combine mint state preservation with errors, you reach the pinnacle of collectability, which is why a 1916 Mercury dime with both error features and pristine condition can reach $3 million or more at auction. And it is not just the coin itself that adds value but also the history and provenance behind it, because collectors often pay premiums for coins that have been part of famous collections, or coins that were featured in historical auctions, or coins that have been certified and graded by top grading services like PCGS or NGC with high rankings. All these factors together build a narrative around the coin that makes it even more valuable. So when we speak of a 1916 Mercury dime being worth $3 million, we are talking about the rare combination of error, condition, provenance, and demand, which together create a perfect storm of numismatic value. And this is what makes the world of coin collecting so thrilling, because it is not just about the metal, the size, or the face value. It is about the stories, the accidents, the history, and the chance discoveries that can turn ordinary coins into priceless treasures. So as you listen to this and imagine the possibility of holding such a coin in your hands, remember that these treasures are still out there, hiding in old collections, tucked away in family heirlooms, or sitting unnoticed in coin jars, waiting for someone with curiosity and knowledge to uncover them. And that is why learning about coins, studying the errors, and paying attention to the details can one day lead you to an extraordinary find. Because numismatics is as much about patience and knowledge as it is about luck, and the 1916 Mercury dime is the perfect example of how history, rarity, and error can combine to create something so extraordinary that it defies ordinary value, turning 10 cents into $3 million. So keep exploring, keep searching, and keep learning. Because you never know when your next dime might just be the world's next $1 million treasure. And now, as we continue our exciting journey into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, let us move on to the next extraordinary piece, the 1977 one dime that has stunned collectors and investors alike by reaching values as high as $1 million. And once again, the reason behind such a staggering valuation lies not in its ordinary mintage. Since millions of 1977 Roosevelt dimes were produced across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, but rather in the incredibly rare errors, anomalies, and minting mistakes that transform a simple coin worth 10 cents into a fortune. And to understand why a 1977 dime could ever command $1 million price tag, we have to first appreciate the context of the Roosevelt dime series, introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing, and minted continuously to this day. The design features Roosevelt's portrait on the obverse and a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch on the reverse, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength, and by 1977 the series had already seen decades of production, yet the mid-1970s were also notorious for transitional changes and experimental minting processes, since the U.S. Mint had shifted from silver to copper-nickel-clad coinage in 1965. And although 1977 dimes were intended to be struck only in copper-nickel-clad composition, rare anomalies occurred, such as coins struck on leftover silver planchets, transitional blanks, or even foreign coin planchets, which instantly skyrocketed their rarity. Imagine a 1977 dime accidentally struck on a silver planchet leftover from earlier minting runs or misfed into the press with a planchet meant for another denomination. These would be considered one-of-a-kind minting miracles and could easily reach values near or above $1 million at high-profile auctions. Another major reason for the value of certain 1977 dimes lies in dramatic striking errors like double dies, where doubling of the date, the motto "I in God we trust," or the word liberty is clearly visible, and these double die examples are incredibly popular with collectors. Then there are off-center strikes, broad strikes without the collar that normally keeps the coin's shape, multiple strikes where the coin was struck more than once, or even dramatic die cracks and cuts that leave unusual raised lumps of metal across the design. Each of these errors is scarce on its own, but when combined with the right year and demand, they can command extraordinary sums. But the most jaw-dropping examples are transitional and wrong planchet errors, as in the famous case of a 1977 Roosevelt dime struck on a silver planchet that was never meant to exist, or struck on a foreign planchet intended for a coin of similar size from another country. And these ultra-rare survivors become legendary overnight because they represent accidents that should never have left the mint, yet somehow escaped into circulation, making them both mysterious and priceless. And when discovered in mint state condition with full details and minimal wear, these errors become the crown jewels of any collection, fetching up to $1 million or more from passionate bidders at auctions. And just like with the 1916 Mercury dime, the condition of a 1977 dime plays a massive role in its valuation. As coins graded at the highest levels by professional grading services like PCGS and NGC can multiply their worth several times over, so when you combine pristine condition with an error so dramatic and rare that perhaps only a handful exist worldwide, you arrive at the $1 million valuation that makes headlines in the coin collecting community. And this is what fuels the dream of every collector, that somewhere in loose change, in a dusty coin jar, or hidden in an old collection, a dime worth a fortune could be waiting to be discovered. And that is why the 1977 dime with its astonishing potential is not just a coin, it is a story, a piece of history, and a symbol of how the smallest mistakes at the mint can lead to unimaginable value in the world of numismatics. And moving forward in our exploration of extraordinary coins that have shocked the world with their hidden value, we now arrive at the 1980 P1 dime, a Roosevelt dime minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which under normal circumstances would seem like an everyday coin with virtually no collector's premium, since hundreds of millions were struck in 1980 and most of them still circulate today. Yet in the rarest and most extraordinary circumstances, certain examples of the 1980 P dime have been found with remarkable minting errors and anomalies that can elevate their worth from 10 cents all the way to $500,000, and this incredible leap in value comes from a combination of extreme scarcity, high demand, and the unique fascination that coin collectors have for error coins. So why is the 1980 P dime so special? First, let's remember that in 1980 the Philadelphia Mint for the first time began placing its P mint mark on dimes, marking a historic change in U.S. coinage. Because before then Philadelphia coins carried no mint mark at all, and that alone makes the 1980 P dime significant in numismatic history. But beyond that historical fact lie the unusual minting errors that make certain examples priceless. One of the most astonishing possibilities is that some 1980 P dimes were struck on leftover silver planchets that should have been retired more than a decade earlier after the U.S. Mint transition from silver to copper nickel-clad dimes in 1965. But errors and accidents at the Mint are always possible, and the discovery of even a single silver 1980p dime would be earth-shattering and instantly worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Another scenario that adds incredible value is when a dime is struck on a foreign planchet, since the U.S. Mint often struck coins for other countries and planchets of similar size could occasionally be fed into presses by mistake, resulting in coins with odd weights, unusual coloration, or different metallic compositions. And such coins are not only exceedingly rare but also endlessly fascinating. Now let's explore striking errors, because the 1980p dime is also known for dramatic misstrikes, such as broad strikes where the coin expands beyond its normal rim, multiple strikes where the design appears doubled or even tripled due to the coin being struck more than once, or off-center strikes where part of the design is missing and part of the coin is blank, and when these occur in combination with the new P mint mark they become particularly prized by collectors. And then we have die errors such as double dies where the date 1980, the word liberty, or the motto I in God we trust appear doubled, creating a striking and instantly recognizable error that can transform the coin's value. And then there are die cracks, cuds, and even missing design elements that make each era coin completely unique. And uniqueness is the ultimate driver of value in the world of numismatics, and of course, the condition of the coin plays a vital role as well, since an uncirculated or mint state 1980p dime with dramatic errors will always bring exponentially higher bids than one that shows heavy wear from circulation. And when one of these rare survivors shows up at an auction certified and graded by top services like PCGS or NGC, collectors go wild, driving the price to unimaginable heights. And that is how a small 10-cent coin from 1980 can suddenly become worth $500,000. And what makes this story even more exciting is that the 1980p dime still shows up occasionally in pocket change, coin rolls, or old family collections, meaning that one lucky discovery could turn an ordinary person into the finder of a $500,000 treasure. And this is why coin collecting is not only a hobby but also a thrilling treasure hunt, because every coin has a story. Every year carries the possibility of errors. And every error has the potential to be worth a fortune, and the 1980p dime stands as one of the greatest examples of how history, minting mistakes, and collector demand can come together to transform an ordinary coin into an extraordinary prize worth $500,000.